All right, there we go. Good evening. We'll try this again. Part two there. Here, click the mute button and so forth. You're not seeing anything. So Pam, you're not seeing. We can't see you. You can't hear me. It's coming up. I had the mute button on. So, because I'm a professional at never knowing when I can't do shit. All right, there we go. I think we got it now fixed there. There we go. Now you all can hear. So yeah, so thank you for tuning in to the biggest happy hour in a half an hour. This may actually probably be over 30 minutes because I don't think we're going to make it in a half an hour. So we're definitely going to be going overtime. I'm already going to tell you that right now and up front. And because we've got a good show here tonight, we're going to learn a little bit more about some rum, and we have a rum expert here joining us tonight, and we're going to learn a lot about an event coming up as well too. Here, let me welcome to the podcast Rob V. Burr. Hey Rob, how you doing here tonight?
Oh, I could complain, but who would care?
Yeah. Hold on here. I think I got the. Oh, there you go. You got jokes and all too, right?
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, you can't have it. You can't have a radio style show podcast without a good, what do they call that? The riff, right?
That's right. Yeah. You gotta have all the key things to hit the marks and so forth. So yeah, so how you
Here I
doing?
am live at the Rum Rack Dive Bar
That's
in an
right.
undisclosed location in South Florida.
And if he told you where it was at, he'd probably have to kill you.
Probably, probably, or they'd kill me. Either way, one way or the other.
That's right. I can definitely say that I have been there. I've been to this great bar. I've met Rob in person also. I've met Rob and Robin. I met
Senior.
all the Burrs, and then exactly here.
Yeah, I like less when people call me junior. I like more when people call him senior. Cheers. Nice. I like the glass.
Yes, there you go. Look at that. I had some show and tell here. Here we go. There. So
Little rum rack dive bar action.
let me see.
That's our mascot on the back there. The old rum wreck herself.
Yeah. So yeah. So where did they get the name for the bar?
Oh well, Pops tells the
Right.
story better, but the short version is a long time ago. My parents were avid divers. I mean, my mom is an instructor. She still goes diving a lot, but I don't think I can remember the last time me and Dad both went. Um, and they get this call from a buddy of theirs who owns a dive boat, and he says, "Hey, this container ship just spilled an entire container full of Xerox printers and Mount Gay rum off the ship. It's right off a government cut in Miami Beach. You got to come with us. We're going to go dive it." So sure enough, they get there. They find all the Xerox printers and a whole bunch of Mount Gay rum, and they just start loading it in lobster nets and bringing it up to the boat. Sure enough, they're sailing back into the sunset, going back into the harbor, and they crack open the first Mount Gay and full of seawater. It was ruined, ruined. They had some Tanqueray too. Tanqueray was fine. Go figure. That's a little bit of salt water in Tanqueray, no problem. But the Mount Gay was no good. But it was the rum wreck
Ah.
dive. So this is the rum wreck dive bar. Not to be confused with a dive bar that also has rum and you're a wreck.
Yeah, you drink too much, you definitely will be wrecked, right?
Yeah, well, hard to avoid that, right? It's best in moderation. That's why I like to have three really good rums, my specialty, rather than 15 rum and cokes, or for that matter, any 15 of anything.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, if something good, so it's not always about quantity, it's about quality.
It's always about
Yeah.
quality for me. Hey, I can't vouch for everybody. To each their own. If you're into quantity, do it up, but do it right. Pick the right thing to have a quantity of that you'll never get sick of.
That's right.
But today, would you like to know what I'm drinking here?
Yeah, what do you got in your glass? What did you
A
pour?
little bit of something that's not necessarily going to be at our show this year.
Oh, the Dulce
Dos
Maderas.
Maderas 5+5, which is actually a 5-year-old from Guyana, a 5-year-old from Barbados, both sent to be roommates in an Oloroso sherry barrel for 3 years in Spain, and then in a Pedro Jimenez sherry barrel for another 2 years. If they make it through the 3 year, they make it into another 2 year thing. So it's 5 plus 5 plus 3 plus 2, but then that sounds like a joke from the movie Clue. So they just call it 5 plus 5.
It sounded like a math problem.
If you're into that brevity thing, you know.
All right. So, yeah, speaking of Das Madeiras 5 and 5, so they were at, as you mentioned, they were there last year, the Rum Fest, as well as what I was pouring a little bit of was Tiburon.
Oh yeah, that's Belize, right?
Yep. Believe
I know
me.
my stuff.
Yeah. Believe me, it's
They
good.
have one of the best mascots I've ever seen at any rum show.
Is it
Not the shark. They always get a guy who looks exactly like Jack Sparrow.
I don't remember seeing that guy.
If you've ever seen pictures of him from our show, it's the guy from Tiburon. It's the guy who Tiburon hires to go get everyone to the Tiburon booth.
Okay,
You know what? It's super effective.
I have an echo.
No, he can't make it this year because he's stuck in Chicago. He sends his best, but he'll return.
Okay.
We'll
Cool. Yeah.
raise one up for the captain in the meantime.
Yes. There you go. Like a little pouring sound.
Here, let's see if this works.
There you go. All right. So I think so we're just working through a little echo action going on here.
Yeah, I noticed that. I
All
thought maybe I had too many already, and I was hearing double.
You're hearing and seeing double. I think that's it, right?
That's better.
That's a little bit better. All right.
Perfect.
There we go. Now I'm too loud. All right. What do we want? Do we want echo or do we want loud?
I often get told I'm too loud when I'm having rum, but maybe it's just me.
All right. So hopefully, there you go. Woo. Now maybe I'm just loud in my own ears now. Oh, I'm loud in her ears too. Now, everyone's a critic. Is that a little bit better? Yeah, we have to wait till the delay catches up. So anyway, we'll continue on here. So you can't hear him at all. I can hear him. All right. Here, let's do this.
No, I'm kidding.
All right. So let's see what happens. I'm bumping you up here on the mix.
Testing, 1, 2, testing, 1, 2.
You got me? You got me? So all right. So
you got me.
So let's see before we jump into our next segment here, and we'll keep talking up about the rum and so forth. Let me give some shout outs here to Phil up there. So good evening, Philip, and good evening, Sam. Woo, that is a little loud. A little loud in my ears here. And then also Philip and Pam, Charlene, and Nia from My Rum Diaries. Hey, Nia, how are you doing there? So Rob, there, real quick here is Nia. So from My Rum Diaries, she's in the chat here, and she is also going to be attending Saturday, the event on Saturday, for the seminar. So what can you? Yeah. So what can you share about that? What she sees to expect on Saturday?
Don't quote me on this. I don't know if they still do, but I know they used to make cockspur, and I know they're making stades now. Which, hey, I happen to have some right here. And the secret ingredient, if I can spill a few beans here, just to tease you, one of the secret ingredients in stades is they fired up the old Vulcan still that they have at the West Indies Rum Distillery that they brought back to life. The only one in existence until some guys in North Carolina said, hey, I think we've got one of those. How'd you get it to work? Can you get ours to work too? And so they've been working with them. So now there's two. But they have some lineage on it at their place at the West Indies Rum Distillery, or Word for short, WIRD, right? Word, they have a third generation guy who's worked on the Vulcan still. His dad did, and his granddad all worked on the Vulcan still. So they've got some insider knowledge. Ask them all about it at the Rum Fest. I'm sure they're really willing to share. But that's one of the special things that's in the blend and stays, and why they brought back the brand that used to exist and now does again, known to Barbados locals and now worldwide. And oh yeah, and then we have what was it? The Master of Quality Control is going to be there. So they're going to do a whole course of 3 seminars, and in the course of those 3 seminars, it's going to be essentially everything you never wanted to know about rum, from cane to glass.
Very. So that is from a what 12? I know what the echo is. Wow, that's going to be annoying.
Sorry, what was that?
Yeah, there was the bad echo that just happened there. All right, let's see if we can try to get back to this here. All right, can you hear me, Rob?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay, I was trying to bump up your volume there. So
Gotcha.
okay, maybe I just can't get too close to the mic there. So
Well, I'll try to be long-winded so that we don't have to go back and forth like that.
yeah, you just do all the talking there. Yeah. It just caught up with everybody. So I'm not. We're having one.
It should be kind of interesting because it's basically every step of the way in their process, and they're one of the better processes, if I do say so myself. I mean, learning their process will teach you at least most of everybody else's, you know?
Right. Cool.
They do rum differently in every place. I mean, I'm sure people who are regulars on your podcast know this, but in case anyone's new, the thing about rum is it's the most versatile spirit known to mankind, because they've got all these rules for other guys. If you're a bourbon, you can only make it in one little county, right? If you're a whiskey, there's still rules to follow. If you're a scotch, you can make it on one little island. If you make it in America, they make you call it an American malt, and there's still rules to follow, right? And if you're vodka, there's still rules to follow. I mean, less than other things, but there's still rules to follow. In rum, you can use anybody else's barrels. You can use any kind of still. You can make it anywhere that mutant grass that they call sugarcane will grow. And you can use the sugarcane juice or the sugarcane honey, which is what happens when you boil all the water out of guapo, right? Or you can use molasses, which is what happens if you take all the sugar out. What you're left with is maybe not something you necessarily want to drink. But that was the first thing that they turned into rum. And they say molasses beer is really, really an acquired taste, but acquired taste like no other. So I'm glad that it got turned into this distillate that we call rum.
No, just plug it
But that's the thing. If you know your rums, like this crazy wall of stuff behind me here, right? If you know all the rums from all the good places, my trick is...
You're very versed mixologist as well.
I've been trained by some of the best guys, but I use the word mixologist very carefully to mean I don't work at a bar, and I'm 3 times slower than a good bartender.
Gotcha.
No, the old joke told to me by a friend from Portland is if you meet a guy working behind a bar and he calls himself mixologist while working behind that bar, it's code for pretentious...
All right. So
I tease, but no, I use mixologist very carefully to say I am lower than a good bartender. A real test of a good bartender is not only will they be creative with their cocktails, but they're consistent in the creation of their cocktails, even when they're 3 deep and it's busy as hell, and you have to muscle past everybody to get a drink. If that drink is still the same as on a slow day, they're nailing it. They're a real bartender. They are the top class. On that note, I was also taught tiki drinks by some of the greats like Jeff Peach Bumberry and Martin Kate. And gosh, you know, a whole slew of guys from the whole East Coast, West Coast, and even London. But I don't want to keep dropping names. I could literally, you know, name everybody that's taught me, but it might take another half an hour or so. And to save time, let's just say that the number one thing that I've learned from all the tiki bartenders is a sign of a good tiki drink is when it tastes the same at the beginning as it does at the end, despite dilution. No matter how much of that ice turns into water, if the drink tastes the same, you made a good tiki drink.
What did we say about
I
earlier?
usually use that as my barometer.
Quality versus quantity, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So
You know, you can't have 15 zombies. It's just not physically. Ernest Hemingway wouldn't have been able to. All right. And that guy, I think his record was 27 daiquiris at La Florida from noon to when they closed. And you just can't do that with tiki drinks. It's not meant to be.
all right. So let's jump back here, Rob. We're going to talk about our crazy segment here called. All right, so we got our What the Florida segment here, and we've got our cards there. All right, so let's see what we got here for this week's What the Florida segment here. All right, Rob. So here's a question for you and for others. What is the one interesting fact about your ancestors? Ooh, weren't we just talking about this?
So here's a funny thing. I'm seventh generation Floridian.
Wow.
I come from a long line of dead people, but the last 6 of them were all in Florida. But if I had to say one interesting fact about my ancestors, I think 3 greats back used to run the trains for Henry Flagler. So every time you're driving down Flagler Road, Street, Avenue, remember that the guy they hired was one of my guys.
Hmm. So
all the trains ran under his watch, and he was famous for pulled pork because people would smell it for 2 days before it was ready. So everyone would come with their hands out, and he would graciously supply.
Interesting. So does that pulled pork continue on?
Oh yeah, Dad's got a recipe. It doesn't take 2 days anymore because God knows there's wonders with all sorts of fun sous vide and barbecue, right? But yeah, he's got a recipe. The only secret I will reveal from his recipe is it does involve some amount of Dr. Pepper.
Cool. So I've got here, Rob, in the chat here, a few folks. They're tuning in for you. It looks like I think they may know you. So I've got Angel of Unseen. Well done for Rob being able to stretch, which I'm not sure what that means. Oh, I'm going back in the chat there. Okay, gotcha. All right. So I'm a little slow today. Levi Snyder says, I train in the chat. What up, Rum Rob? So there you go. All right.
Yeah, so I usually go by Rob the Rum Guy, but you know, Rum Rob is good if you're into that brevity thing.
Oh, so yeah, so
also, Rob the Rum Guy, just a funny name, not a suggestion. Please don't rob me. I'm broke. Despite what this looks like, it's not mine.
All right. You punching those one-liners. So yeah, so for the Rum Festival this next weekend, we have coming up is, as you talked about already, the seminars on Saturday. There we go. There we go. All right.
Hey, if you can pause right here, check out that QR code. Get yourself some tickets while they're still not too expensive. Right now, they're $49 for a regular pass. Gets you in at 2 p.m. Goes all the way to 6. If you want the VIP treatment, you can get in an hour and a half early. Talk to those master blenders and distillers before everyone crushes the room by getting yourself a VIP pass for $10 more. That gets you in at 12:30. And the day before is the seminars. Those are going for $69 right now, and that gets you into all 3 seminars and some wonderful food.
Very cool.
But yeah, the big tasting is a hell of a hullabaloo. Let me tell you, we've got something like 27 brands with an average of 8 expressions each, something like that. I might be over or under by a little bit. I don't know. Don't quote me. But we got a lot of people there, all willing to talk about how they make their rum a completely different way from the guy standing next to them.
It's definitely an interesting, yeah, to have all the exhibitors all in one place. So you can learn so much all at one time. And again, here we talked about Tiburon. I want to thank their Nia's in the chat there. Thank her for hooking us up with this bottle here that she would acquired through her rum travels there. So those guys are pretty cool. And so there's going to be quite a few returning guests or exhibitors.
No. It's Steve Ballmer now, the infamous middle management master from hell. Otherwise famously known for his speech at a Microsoft Developers Conference where he just shouted the word developers 32 times in a row.
Probably. Yeah, it's the middle button, Charlie. No, on the sides. All right.
We're back.
I think. Are we? But are we? There you go. All right. Now, where were we? I'm not quite even sure anymore where.
Oh, right. Yeah, you can check out our Instagram where we have all the guys who are attending are showing up on our Instagram story. Probably the best place to look. But if you don't got the gram, you could always check it out on Facebook. All the stories will be reposted there. And I'm kind of in charge of all of that. So you would think I'd remember who I've put on there, but it's a little tough after 3 or 4 rums.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah. Um,
It happens.
Social media and rumming could be very, dangerous. It definitely could be dangerous. All right. Hopefully. Yes. All right. So let's try that again. All right. Sorry, folks, for our little technical difficulties there. Thank you for standing by. Of course, as I was just telling Rob there, as before we came back on, was I probably shouldn't have named this episode "Crashing into the Miami Rum Fest," like hitting a car in a Disney parking lot. So with all that being said, now, yeah, I was just told informed that stress is not good for me, and I should start smoking, some edibles or smoking or vaping or whatever. So I thank you, Levi. There, you forgive me. Thank you. Or are you forgiving me, or you forgiving Rob? Is there a difference here? You
Yes.
all is forgiven. Let's drink some rum, right? All right. So yeah, let's.
All right. I'll never say no to that.
Yes. So let's have some more of that Tiburon. So yeah. So just real quick before we go into our Florida Man segment, there we had. I attended last year's, and hopefully you've checked out the podcast episode. And it's actually the podcast episode I taped with Rob Senior, as Rob likes to refer to it. He probably won't like me referring to it. Is the podcast episode is probably one of the most listened to episode there. Rob's got a lot of information. Rob Senior, uh, and it was a fascinating conversation. And so definitely check that if you haven't. But Rob goes through a lot of things, talks about rum. We actually talked a little bit about music as well. I got to sample some of the things on the shelf there behind Rob, and really cool to hang out with them. And then not too long after that was the festival. So I headed down there. Got a chance to check out. I definitely, yeah, I'm looking forward to this year because I felt like I didn't get the chance
Did
to
we
hit.
give you any of the black tot that we got up here?
I don't think we went up on that top shelf. All right. I don't know if I'm top shelf. I don't know if I passed the top shelf quality yet of a.
Well, now you have a reason to come back and interview me, right?
I definitely could do that. Yeah.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
There you go. No problem. You don't have to twist my arm twice.
I'll tell you my whole life story as it pertains to rum and drums.
I like what you did there.
You can edit it down to a good part.
There you go.
Hey, Hey, no, listen, they've both been a big role in my life. So when you said rum and drums, I didn't think, unlike my dad, who was like, milkshake, hand grenades, her. No, I was like, no, that makes sense. I've had a lot of rum and contact with drums together.
It,
I don't think I've ever actually hit a drum without having some rum involved, for that matter.
there you go. Right. It just goes together, man. So all right.
It really does.
So so Rob, are you ready to find out about this our week's current Florida man that we've designated here?
You betcha.
All
It
right.
was my favorite segment of my old podcast, Imaginary Radio. Plug, plug.
The segment that you may find somewhere, I'm sure somewhere on the interwebs, right there. So all right. So here's our story of our Florida man of this week's segment here. Again, we always got an interesting, some of the Florida man are what? I know I skipped on the wrong one. Yeah. So uh, sometimes our Florida man is interesting. So this week, so let's just start off here in saying if you see the picture there on the screen, we've all been to Disney World, we've all been to Magic Kingdom, and you see the big park entrance. It's always an exciting thing. It's still even when we drive by, even when you're a kid, even when you're adult, you're seeing the going into the park there, the Magic Kingdom, big signs and so forth and so forth. So just imagine it. You're having a great day. You're going to the Magic Kingdom. You're going to Disney World, and you pass through the entrance here of the park, and then the next fun part of going to uh, the House of the Mouse. Yeah, there you go. The House of the Mouse. The next thing you're going to the House of the Mouse. We've all experienced the parking lot, right? We know how massive the parking lot is. We know how the Disney parks alone are massive. But there Mickey's freaking out because there's so many cars, and you got to go through there. So you find a spot, you park the car. It's about 1,000 degrees in the Florida sun here when you go to the parks, and then you get on the tram. Old school. Do they still? I don't know. Has anybody been lately? Do they still have those kind of trams there? I know it might be an older picture, but yeah, you get on the trams, you go up to the front there. This is Magic Kingdom, and then let's say you have a great day, and I'll go ahead and I'll pause the story now here. So this is I found this story. This is actually article was actually found it on ESPN Southwest Florida. So here we go. One Reddit poster took to the platform to vent about his unfortunate experience at the Epcot. At Epcot. At the Epcot. Seems Disney World Florida man was at it again and had a pretty heavy front end damage to the poster's car. The victim was enjoying a night out at Epcot watching the Hanson show. All right, cue the Hanson. There you go. So when someone bopped his car, to add the insult, whoever smashed the car left behind $100 bills and a note that said sorry, but no information so they could file a claim. From the picture, it looks like they hooked the back bumper with the car's front end, probably sideswiped the corner. So as you can imagine, coming out and after you're enjoying a great bop show and hanging out there, you come out to your car after hanging out with the Hansons, and you come out to this. There's your car in the parking lot with $100 bill and a little note that said sorry. So can you imagine that afterwards? That's what you find. So the poster did the right thing but wasn't expecting much. We did contact security and filed a case with the FHP, but they didn't send anyone out because the vehicle wasn't occupied and it was on private property. They said they had an investigator who may contact us, but will probably only see footage if a case is pursued. Speculation in the comment section would suggest that Disney World Florida man who hit the car was uninsured or had been drinking. Surprise. Does anybody know if the Food and Wine Festival is going on right now? Leaving the scene to prevent a DUI. Since it's Florida, my money would be on both. And who does that? A note that says sorry and $100? There's no way that'll cover the deductible. And since they've not seen the footage, we really don't know if it's Disney's Florida man or Disney Florida woman. So who knows? But again, what I'm really surprised is, I'm really surprised actually that, yes, that is a lot of damage to that front end of that car there. But you know what?
Flex Seal can't fix that.
No, this is yeah. Where's Flex? What's that? So it's his fault. Yes. You know why it's his fault? Who he should have gotten hit because of Hanson going to a Hanson concert. Because I don't think your kids are going to a Hanson concert because they're like Hanson's like old now. So who's goes to a Hanson concert? You deserve to be hit in the Disney parking lot.
To be fair, Hanson did a really good cover of Furry Walls.
I, I, I I'm not quite sure how to respond to that Rob. All right, so here's to you, Disney Florida man.
The fact that Florida, yeah, here's the Florida Disney Florida man.
There's our Disney Florida man, the unknown the unknown Disney car crasher guy. So yes, oh yes, right, yes. So cheers. We're gonna cheers here. We also there for plugging our there you go, Miami Rum Fest cup. There you go. There you go. So yeah, I don't know what's your all thoughts about this Florida man segment here and this guy getting hit in Disney. That's gotta be what a way to end the day, right?
Two things come to mind. Number one, Florida is a no-fault state. So even if they had been there, it would have been everybody's fault. But the second thing is, how the hell did someone leaving Disneyland still have $100 cash to leave on the car?
I'll do one better. Who actually carries cash anymore?
You know,
right.
You got a point there.
You know what? I'm gonna put my Cash App QR code on my car, so people can just right. So,
yeah, you're gonna get a lot of requests. $5 for cutting me off, asshole.
Oh,
that's what happened to me if I did it. I know I can't get away with that. You got to put it on the front of the car, not the back, so that you avoid that. Right?
Yeah, but you're in Miami. You're definitely gonna get shot. So, Sean says must have been a gin drinker.
Yeah.
Levi says,
yeah, rum drinkers own up, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Bop, ba-diddy, bop, 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 bop. Oh, okay, yes, the song. I forgot, yes. That song almost like 25 years old now. So anyway, so there's our Florida Man segment of the week. We're crashing into the Miami Rum Fest, like hitting a car in a Disney parking lot. So there we go. Yeah. So there you go, everybody. There. So there's our. Let me give myself a rim shot for that joke there. So yeah. So yeah. Oh, that's pretty too funny. So that's the story, and that's what I'm sticking to. And again, I don't know, for those of you just tuning in a little bit late there, so what is one interesting fact about your ancestors? Rob already shared it, so if you missed it, you're gonna have to go back and hit the rewind button, watch the playback. He's not gonna tell that story again. So I think Rob's having way too much fun with his iPad camera of tracing and following. So that's all on the iPad right there. It's a fixed lens.
Yeah,
the camera moves and zooms around. That's pretty cool, huh? I don't know. Maybe Santa will bring me a Mac for Christmas. They don't crash, right? Yeah. Santa. Oh, yeah. Here, yeah. Let me. This is where I put my my Cash App up, right? Hey, so real quick, Rob, that shirt you're wearing there. Let's pause right there. There. The Mai Kai. Talk a little bit about the Mai Kai, if you don't mind.
Institution.
Yes.
Well, let's talk about the history of the Mai Kai. Opened in 1956. Two brothers opened it. They painstakingly searched the world for accoutrement to put in their tiki restaurant. And to this day, many consider it, I don't want to be disrespectful in any way, don't take this as much, but many consider it tiki mecca. I know people who make a Mai Kai drink at 5 o'clock, like right there. And God bless it, it's one of the only places left that's the same as it was in 1956. The menu, the same. The guy who they hired to make the tiki drink menu there, Mariano Lisudin, give me a second and I can remember. He used to work for Don the Beachcomber, which, if you don't know much about tiki, that guy started the whole thing. Don the Beachcomber started all of tiki as you know it. And the best part about that is he started it the second Prohibition ended. I mean, it was like 2 months into 1934 when he opened Don the Beachcomber's Cafe, which eventually just became Don the Beachcombers. And every tiki drink you've ever heard of, except for the Mai Tai, more or less Don. So the Mai Tai is like direct lineage because Mariano used to work for Don and stole all the damn drinks. So here's a funny thing I've noticed in a lot of tiki places. It's not just the Mai Tai, but it's like in every tiki place, right? If the name is the same, the drink might just be a little bit different. And if the name is different, the drink is exactly the same. It's a weird coincidence that I keep finding. But like, yeah, you'll either find like a cobra's kiss or a snake bite, you know, or it'll be a jet pilot or like a test pilot or maybe something in between. There's all sorts of fun stuff about it. But if you really want to know the history of tiki drinks, Jeff Beachbum Berry has written a lot of good books with a lot of good recipes and done all the research. And Martin Cate isn't too far behind him there. And, you know, CATE, by the way. Check out his bar in San Francisco, Smuggler's Cove. And all of his books online, all of them, both of them. Tiki drinks, hey, there you go. Tiki drinks are such a unique category, all right? Here's why, all right? Don the Beachcomber grabbed 3 different rums to stick in his zombie, all right? If you mix 3 vodkas, you're a hack. If you mix 3 scotches, they'll string you up before you can finish pouring. If you mix 3 bourbons, no one's going to know. How would they, right? Maybe some bourbon experts. But otherwise, rum is the only thing that you can actually pick 3 diverse topics in how it's made. And if you do it right, and if you know the rum well enough, this is my whole shtick, right? Is knowing the rum well enough to be able to mix it, because it's like singers. You get what I mean when I say this, because you get the music part of it, right?
Yep.
It's a chorus. It's a chord on a instrument. You're going to hit notes that no one of them alone would by itself. It's Jagger up front, and you know the Dream Girls behind him, backing him up, right? On Give Me Shelter. It's legendary. You can't do that with other spirits. Only rum pulls it off. So the Mai Tai, to get back to this, the Mai Tai is really good at that stuff because they basically stole one of the guys who worked under the master that created it.
Right.
Now, I did mention the Mai Tai is one of the exceptions of Don didn't create that. There was some argument over it. Don didn't create that. Trader Vic did. I'm almost certain by accident. Because Trader Vic is the kind of guy who, when he published a book on tiki drinks, told everyone that a daiquiri was made with lemon juice. It's not. But he translated limon to lemon, even though it said limon verde, which means green lemon or lime. So, yeah, you know, take it all with a grain of salt, right? It's some of it's lost to history, but the guys who were the loudest might not have been the most reliable sources. This is why I leave this stuff to Jeff Beachbum Berry and Martin Cate. They've filtered through all the crap to bring you the good stuff that's left. And sometimes the recipe is so lost that all they have is the memories of the drink, and they just kind of make stuff up based on what they think it is. And on that note, the Mai Tai, making stuff up and making stuff based on memory, I'd like to take a little moment here to you aficionados, to people who have made Mai Tais at home. And I'd like to point out, you're probably doing it wrong. It's not your fault. See, for the longest time now, we've been combining Jamaican rum, usually something dark and aged, right? And Martinique rum from a French island where it's like light and grassy. Even if you get something aged, it's still made a completely different way where you really taste the cane, right? Look, it doesn't make a bad drink, but let's not call it accurate anymore. That's not at all what Vic sold. He used to use a 17-year-old rum, then a 15-year-old rum, then a 12-year-old rum, all from Jamaica, and literally depleted the world's supply of it. And then he went to Martinique and got them to make him something cheap because he was a cheap bastard. So here's the secret. What he went and got made in Martinique was stuff that they find dull, what they call industrial, molasses-based rum, because it was cheap. So if you really want to make a good Mai Tai, just make sure it's dark and funky, and you really can't go wrong. You don't have to mix half and half. But if you're going for authenticity, look for a French-style molasses-based rum or something 17 years old from Jamaica.
That's pretty
That is going to be more authentic either way. I just like to drop these little nuggets of knowledge sometimes. You know, they're just little brain droppings that Martin and Jeff have both covered this topic, but I think it all started because Jeff did a guest bartending event somewhere in California, somewhere in Los Angeles, if memory serves, and just did that to like have it. And from then on, everyone took it as canon. That's a Mai Tai. That's not how you. Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. Like I said, it's just not accurate. It's not historically accurate. It's not a bad Mai Tai.
right.
But don't go around telling people that's how Vic made it. No, he was a cheap bastard. He made it with rot gut from a French island, which means it wasn't that bad, really. You know.
Yeah. Somebody's low
You know,
shelf.
there are worse things you could pick.
Yeah, it's one person's low shelf is actually high shelf for somebody else.
Right, exactly. No, that's the best part. It's like their like thing that they would turn their nose up at of industrial. They called it industrial because they call the other stuff agricole, which means farm. So this is this was like the original organic milk section, right? It was like this is the organic rum. And here's the stuff that's industrial. You want that? That's you sure? Oh, because you can buy it bulk. Okay, sure, go ahead. But there's nothing wrong with either method. It's just a matter of taste. For Vic, it tasted like the old funky stuff he got from Jamaica.
Yep.
Why not?
So
no one could tell, apparently.
So you mentioned something there I think was interesting was about cocktails that have a little play on a name or twist, but that some of it is because some cocktails are trademarked, so they try to get away with a little bit of a play on words to kind of come across. We know the painkiller is a synonymous one here, right? You can't call it a painkiller unless it's made
Copyrighted. It's a copyrighted cocktail of all the things, a copyrighted cocktail. I think Bacardi is famous for the first copyrighted cocktail. Again, don't quote me. I ain't said shit. But I think Bacardi had the first copyrighted cocktail with the Bacardi cocktail. And the reason they had to do it was because people were serving with whatever rum they had. And they're like, no, if you don't serve it with Bacardi, it's not the Bacardi cocktail. And they had to go to court over it.
Wow.
To make people stop serving it without their rum, right? It's got their name on it. You can't sell rot gut and say it's Bacardi, and then people go like, God, Bacardi. It's their reputation on the line. So there are some exceptions to that I understand. But the painkiller? I might get in trouble for this later, but I'm too deep in my cups to care right now. Let me tell you a little something about the painkiller. The painkiller was a drink that already existed at the Soggy Dollar Bar. All right. Somewhere in the Caribbean, don't quote me where, I don't remember, but I know that you had to swim to it, and that's why it's called the Soggy Dollar. All right.
Yep.
They made the painkiller. All right. And the guy who copyrighted it for Pussers, Charles Tobias, hey, God bless him, he brought it to the world where no one had ever done it before. It's more or less an inverted pina colada. But he made that shit up. He went to the bar and said, "You won't give me the recipe? How about I make one and you make one, and we'll let the people here decide who they like more." Well, they told him, because they probably didn't want to be rude to him, that, "Yeah, no, yours is good. Yours is really, really good." And so we have the traditional 411, which is 4 parts pineapple juice, 1 part coconut syrup, cream of coconut, whatever you want to call it, right? Coco Lopez or the Coco, what's the Coco Real, the good stuff, right? And then orange juice. And then you got to put pussers in it because they own the copyright. Well, here's the thing, right? I know a guy who was making one at a place called Painkiller in New York, but they weren't using pussers. And Charles Tobias walked in and said, "You have to use pussers or I have to sue you." And he goes, "Yeah, no, you can leave anytime you want." They fired that guy, changed the name of the place, and called it a PKNY after that. But here's the funny thing: the backlash was a whole lot of bartenders who were like, "No, that guy is my buddy. We're not serving painkillers anymore. We're going to serve PKNYs." So listen, you can make it however you want, but don't call it a painkiller if it doesn't have pussers. At least if you're selling them.
Right.
When you're at home, you can call them whatever you want. But I find that to be a little problematic sometimes.
Well,
You know, after all, he got the drink from Soggy Dollar Bar.
right.
He didn't make it from scratch out of nowhere. It is good, though. It's damn good. Personally, I like a pain remover,
What's that?
which is anything. You could put anything you want in it. I used to do this one when my friends would come over. I would make them pain removers where I would use this one from Stolen Rum. You ever heard of them?
Mhm.
They
Yep.
made a rum called Coffee and Cigarettes.
Yep.
It's the last thing anyone ever wanted to drink. And I would go, "No, no, 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 listen, you got it all wrong. This stuff is fantastic." And they're like, "Yeah, because you're a smoker." And I'm like, "No, no, listen, trust me. I could prove it." And I would bring them pain removers. And it was the best thing you'd ever had in a pain remover. Because the rum was strong and got your attention, and it was flavorful, and it cut through 4 ounces of pineapple juice and coconut syrup. But look, make whatever you want for your drink. You're good, all right? I'm not above anybody when it comes to cocktails. No one should be hoity-toity about this stuff. If you like it, drink it. I once had at MegaCon in Orlando, and I won't name names so that no one gets outed and banned, right? But I once sat down with a friend of mine and drank room temperature Mountain Dew and Sailor Jerry's. And you know something? It actually works at room temperature. It's actually really good. Like, don't poo-poo it until you've tried it. Like, God knows how. I was afraid of it, and then I had it, and I went, "How does that work? How is that not the worst thing I've ever had?" It's fantastic. Room temperature. Turns out Mountain Dew was literally made to be mixed with moonshine. So hey, Sailor Jerry's nice to it,
So Rob, we had a comment here was the original from Soggy Dollar Bar. The rum mix was never made public, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct. They never said what rum, and they never said what the proportions were, and it was all a hack by Charles Tobias to make up a version based on what he tasted. So you know what? He's not doing anything different than these other guys who are writing books, except that he copyrighted it.
Hey,
He copyrighted it and made it go along with his rum. And you know what? I probably would do the same thing if I were in his position.
so capitalism at its best.
One of these days, there's going to be a rum with my name on it. But I'm not going to sit there and tell anyone what to mix it with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because everyone, as I said, rum is fun and make it what it is. There's not.
I can all but guarantee if I make a rum and it has my name on it, or at least my logo, right? My pirate flag, as it were. How do I twin this to the camera? There we go. If I make a rum with that on it, it's going to be so that you could mix it in anything or nothing at all. Mark my words. One of these days.
So you have, so Rob, you've got a kindred spirit here. Sean says, "I thought the dew only went with SoCo from my college days." LOL.
Fun fact, I used to be a trivia host right? And one of the things that I learned as a trivia host and used to love to get people with, Mountain Dew was literally invented to go with moonshine, and that's where it got its name from, in Tennessee. Two brothers, again, two brothers, right? Couldn't find their favorite soda after they moved to Tennessee. They decided to just make it themselves. And so it's lime and orange flavors. That's what Mountain Dew is supposed to be. If you didn't know, if you were never sure, because God knows they've got 16 colors now, right? But original Mountain Dew, before it was made with high fructose especially, orange and lime. Do you know what's in 90% of tiki drinks? Orange and lime. What a coincidence.
So
I mean, I'm just saying, you could do worse things than just mix stuff with Mountain Dew.
right.
You could use, God help us, high C.
Or I posted this the other day. The story that I posted was about a friend of mine. Hold on. Yeah, now I'm gonna get shit.
Coconut Cartel, I know those guys.
I'm gonna get shit for actually having this behind my bar. But anyway. All right. So a friend of mine went golfing. A friend of mine went golfing, and he said the cart girl only had Malibu. That was the only rum they had. So he bought it, and I kind of said, why? So he mixed it with his Gatorade. Okay. And I said, you got to try something else. I said, if you like that taste, the coconut taste, he says, go ahead and grab yourself some of this. I said, it's doesn't have all that sweetness. It's actually proof, right? It's 80 proof, whereas this isn't, right? And he went and bought a bottle and he mixed it with his Gator, and he was like, "That's so much different." Yeah. So go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
But listen, everything has a time and a place. There is a time and a place for Malibu. It's called college. But if it's what you like, it's what you like, right? If you like stuff that tastes like SPF, well, you can't get better than Malibu. It's not that bad, really. I've still had worse than that. I had a rum from Bimini called Fire in the Hole, and you know what? That name was appropriate. I don't think it was actually from Bimini, but it said it was. I believe it was bottled there. That's probably, I can name drop that one. They're not going to find me. That was probably the worst rum I've ever had. Nothing will ever be lower than that. So everything else has been much better since, really, when you have that perspective, it changes how you look at rum.
Yeah. I guess when you started.
Watch, I'm going to get an email tomorrow. We heard you talking shit.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? If somebody actually is, that means you're on somebody's radar, right?
When you start getting angry letters, that's when you know you're reaching people.
Yeah, you're getting.
Just ask Howard Stern.
Yeah, you're getting under somebody's saddle. Burr. So, all right. So let's kind of land
So
this.
can I teach you one trick?
Sure. Let's do it. Let's do it before we wrap up.
Here's what all of those books by Martin and Jeff and really everybody, what it comes down to, right? The thing that Don the Beachcomber was the king hell of was fucking with this one simple formula. And it's what I've done my entire life since learning it. I've never made a bad drink as long as I follow this ratio. And it is a ratio. 1 of sour, 2 of sweet, 3 of strong, and 4 of weak. And remember that this rhyme was written in the late 1600s for punch. And weak meant water. There was no ice, maybe tea. If you were really lucky, someone made juice. But otherwise, it was water. And so knowing those ratios, if you follow that, you'll never make a bad drink again in your life.
I'd say that. Say that again, Rob.
Tweaking that and fucking with it is totally where the advanced classes come in. Sweet what? Well, if it's 1 of sour and 2 of sweet, what can I do to mess with that? What if the sour and the sweet are combined? Okay, well, you just got to get the measurements right. Got to get the as soon as the ratio is right, you're there.
So repeat
So
it
as
again.
long as you follow that ratio, you'll never make a bad drink again, even if you're making it with Kool-Aid.
So one is sweet,
One of sour, two of sweet, three of strong, and four of weak.
There you go.
So here's a fun fact for you. I made this drink a long time ago, but I get calls about it, right? I made this drink called Richard Mall's The Devil because we were watching a horrible movie called Dungeon Master. And Richard Mall showed up in a puff of smoke and said, "I am Mistima." And the main character's talking Nintendo Power Glove goes, "Mistima, Satan, the devil." And we all went, "Oh, thank God you told us. We never would have guessed." The red velvet cloak and the whole really threw me off. I wasn't sure what I was looking at, but Richard Mall, who you might know as Bull from Night Court.
Yep.
Okay. So we renamed the drink after him. Here, for those people playing at home, pause and take a look. Look, it's desperately trying to find my face. Oh no. But it's this Dos Maderas 5+5 again, right? I used that as one of the three of strong. And that became my measurement. If that's one of the three, then one part is 750 mils. So it makes like just under 3 gallons or something like that. So one bottle Dos Maderas, 2 bottles aged white rum, which is to say I was using something from Venezuela called Santa Teresa Claro, which is 6 years old and then filtered, but not filtered to be clear like Bacardi does. It's more like rainwater colored, right? But again, you want Mick Jagger up front and the Dream Girls behind him for that Gimme Shelter chorus effect. They hit the high notes, he hits the low notes. So that's what this does, this combination of the three of strong. Now I have my three of strong. Where do I work out from there? Well, the Dos Maderas goes really well, since it's a sherry finish, with lemon juice. So that's my one of sour. So my two of sweet, I used Falernum and Saint Germain. And it took me a long time of tweaking until I got the sweet just right. And so it's the right ratio, but it's not an entire 2 bottles of Falernum and an entire bottle of Saint Germain. It's like a bottle and a little bit more of Falernum and a third of a bottle of Saint Germain, because that stuff is even more powerful. And then, you know what the week was? Here's what I'm especially proud of. I learned in my travels and tribulations and a whole lot of drinking at home, Welch's passion fruit juice is a perfect week. It's mostly white grape. It's just kind of there. It's passion fruit flavored water, kind of, sort of. So that's the 4 parts in there. It's like 3 cartons of Welch's passion fruit juice. And then I went above and beyond and I put some bitters in it. And it takes an entire ounce of El Immaculate Tiki bitters from Bitterman's Bitters, New York, which is really cheating. Like I wasn't already cheating with the Falernum and Dos Maderas, right? It's really cheating to use the Tiki bitters because the flavors in that are anise and grapefruit and cinnamon, which is the flavors of a zombie in Tiki. So it's cheating. It's totally one of the best drinks I've ever made. But it's because I followed the ratio religiously.
And hey, that's the whole part about bartending, mixologist, or craft. There is it's like cooking, right? You've got to follow the recipe, and
Exactly.
and it's okay to go off. It's okay to go off and even experiment. But again, if you're trying to make this particular thing, and it doesn't come out the way.
But if you want to experiment, you got to know what works first, right?
Yep.
You can't make nouveau beef bourguignon, however the hell it's pronounced, without knowing how to make it traditionally first, right? You can't make a smash burger until you've made like a generic looking McDonald's fucker, right? So, pardon me, I curse a lot. It's rum. But you know what I mean? No, listen. And on a similar note, my friends used to be like, "Why do you care about cocktails? Why do you care about rum?" And I go, "Dude, do you eat at Burger King every night, or do you like once in a while when you're feeling in the mood for it, you go have like a good steak somewhere, right? You go to Morton's, or you go have some seafood somewhere. You have someone else cook your food because they know what they're doing, right? That's why I care about cocktails, because I don't want to eat Burger King every night. I don't want to have a rum and coke every night. I'd rather make my own and make it good. Make a little cocktail up, and if I'm feeling lazy, just get a good rum. That's the secret to my success. Is I'm really efficient because I'm so lazy. Just for the record. Can't hear you.
There we go. Maybe I shouldn't hit the mute button.
Aha!
There we go. So yeah, so let's Rob, let's go ahead and land this. Let's talk up here for those that are watching. You see the page here, the Florida Rum Renaissance web page here, and again, let's bring it home so we can get some folks to come check this out. So
Go to MiamiRumFest.com and find us on Instagram and Twitter, or use this little QR code right here. Let me see if I can get it to center long enough that you can scan it. Good luck, folks. Well, there you go. We are on the interwebs. We have our festival is coming up, the grand tasting on November 13th. That's a Sunday. VIPs and trade get in at 12:30. Everybody else gets in at 2 o'clock, goes till 6 o'clock. If you're ready to learn everything you never wanted to know about rum, come to the seminars the day before at the Hyatt Coral Gables. That's Saturday, November 12th. Tickets are $69 for the seminars and $49 for the Rum Festival. Unless you've already bought your tickets, then I'll see you there either way. I'm the Rum Scout on Instagram and Twitter, and yeah, I think Facebook too. All sorts of places you can find me. I'm Robert Vincent Burr. That's what the V stands for. And it's the Miami Rum Renaissance Festival. Not to be confused with the Miami Renaissance Festival. We have a lot more rum than they do. They don't have as many pirates, though.
so if I show up in my Renfest outfit, then will I be allowed in?
Oh, yeah. Hey, there are years where I didn't think it was successful unless I had my buddy Nigel, who looked like the most authentic pirate you'd ever seen. He out Jack Sparrow, and that was just his daily outfit. Like, that's what he always wore. Everyone thought, like, where'd you get these Renaissance guys? I'm like, no, that's just Nigel. He's like that.
So he jacked off Jack Sparrow.
I wouldn't go that far.
Okay, I
He
watched.
out Sparrowed Jack Sparrow.
All right, yeah, I watched a lot of Jack Sparrow on Court TV this summer, so you never know. Now, if that ain't a,
But you have heard of him.
I have, and if that ain't a bed full of shit, I don't know what is.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you ever wanted to know everything about rum, come on down to the Miami Rum Fest, and I will personally teach you if no one else does, okay?
So yeah, so definitely come on. So definitely come on down. Thanks for the we'll be. I'll
Was
be
that
there.
an angry blender? What was that?
Was that?
Was that an angry blender noise?
No, that was supposed to be the clapping.
Oh, okay.
Oh, hold on. You mean this one? There you go.
Rim shot.
There you go. Rim shot. So yeah, I'll be there. So so if you're here in Florida, or hey, fly down here, beautiful Florida. It's probably starting to get cold elsewhere around the country. Come on down here and hang out in beautiful sunny Florida, Miami. I'll be there that weekend. Nia, I don't know if Nia's still in my Rum Diaries. She'll be there that weekend. Johnny from Ready Set Rum is going to be there that weekend. And Roger and Cole, for those of you who watch the Just Drinking show on Wednesdays and the reviews, they'll be there in town also. So a whole bunch of us will be there. Sean also there's you see him on Jami's Ready Set Rum reviews. So we'll all be there, working on some content, getting together, running into this rascal and rum scout, getting into trouble. Hopefully not too much. And
Did I tell you how I got that name, by the way?
no, I don't think you did.
In a past life, I was an Eagle Scout. I say that like half jokingly. No, really. By the time I was 16, I got my Eagle Scout. Like that was the day of my ceremony. It was my birthday at 16. Um, I was, I did everything last minute. I was like a first class for 3 years or something like that. But I was a real honest to God Boy Scout. Like I know the whole routine. And now I drink so much rum they won't let me back in. So Rum Scout. That's where it came from.
There you go. All right. So some of the comments here, Rob, Philip. Sounds like you know your rums and mixes, Rob. Enjoyed listening to your stories and your input tonight. So there you go. There you go. So yeah. So there, Philip checking in.
Thanks for watching, folks.
Yep. So
I wouldn't be here if it weren't for you, right there at home.
There you go. Well, I definitely appreciate Rob. So we definitely will, like I said, looking forward to some of those. So we got, at least for here on our show, we at least have one more week. We'll be here next Thursday. Also, I'm not sure what we got going on, but that'll be the Thursday before the Rum Festival. And like I said, there's time to still get tickets. I think it's a really cool event. You definitely can meet, like Rob said, a lot of the exhibitors, people that make the rum or brand ambassadors of the products, ask questions, a lot of other rum. So if you're into rum, it's a great place to meet the other rum. I got a chance like I said, last year was my first time, so I was a little bit of a virgin and didn't get taken advantage of too much. But I definitely did pace myself. That's one thing I think, right? I think that's one key thing. If you're going to go to these events where you could possibly be drinking all day.
The most important thing for everyone to remember is it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yep. That's a great point there. For sure.
Pace yourself and get a bed somewhere nearby.
Yes. I'll stay nearby and I can rent out the bed of my truck if somebody wants to crash in the bed of the truck for a small fee.
There you go. And if you're really lucky, you get invited to the cool hotel room parties right across the way.
Yes.
So,
I remember that.
I know there's usually a little get together by the pool closest to the Coral Gables Women's Club. I'm just saying, keep an eye out for that.
Yep. I remember that all too well. Can't share too many stories from it, but I can't share too many stories, and I can't remember too many stories, but I do remember.
Those are the best ones. Those are always the best ones.
Yes. So, all right, I appreciate everybody for tuning in here. So I appreciate everybody hanging in there with some of the technical difficulties we had there. Hopefully, you got a chance to check out Rob. Great guest tonight. So everyone, let's give it up for Rob. So we definitely had a great time hanging out with him tonight. As you said, a lot of great stories, a lot of great input. He knows a lot about rum. Also, check out Rob's Rum Guide, Rum Renaissance Festival. Follow them. You'll be seeing us posting a lot of stuff here in the upcoming weeks about the event coming up and so forth. Again, just a lot of information if you're really ready to go down that rabbit hole. I always look at, what I do and try to bring folks together that are starting slowly in the shallow end, and then you can swim all the way out and get into the deep end here with Rob, and he'll take you further into once you get further in there. But my approach has always been, let's just slowly get into this, because a lot of folks are still a Bacardi or a Captain Morgan drinker, and which is fine. But if you want to take it a little step further, you want to say, what else can I get? How do I go past this? These are the folks that we can all help each other out.
Put your floaties on. We're getting in.
That's right. Chicken fights right in the middle of the pool. So, all right, everybody.
Chicken fights are when you can get the brands talking crap to each other.
Oh, that'd be great. Hey, maybe that can happen at the pool later after the event.
I've never seen that happen ever at a rum fest. No chance of that.
That'd be too good. So, all right. So, everybody, I appreciate everyone for tuning in tonight there. So, have a great weekend. And a real quick here plug. I'm going to got my quick little plugs here also for our. Got a camera around here somewhere that I'm not sure what we got going on here. Before I switch over here, but anyway, I'm not going to switch the view here. I'm just going to give everybody a quick plug here. So real quick here, friends of our podcast here, part of our podcast network there, check out Brad Brock and the Jams and Coffee Morning Show at 8 a.m. every morning over on YouTube channel, and also his Wednesday night show, the Jams and Cocktails Show at 8 p.m. every Wednesday night. They just finished their 4th season, so they're taking a little break. We're starting back up, so we got some collaboration that we're doing with Brad and so forth, so stay tuned with shenanigans with Brad and I. Also, check out the Rum Posse here. I talked about them. The Rum Posse is Nia from My Rum Diaries, Johnny from Ready Set Rum, Roger and Cole from Just Drinking, and also the River Pirate Jason, and also Rashawn. So we'll be all converging. Most of us, I think, will be converging on the Miami Rum Festival that weekend. And again, once again, thanks to AKA the Rum Scout. Check out his stuff. Follow his stuff. He's got a like I tell you,
Shout out Florida Rum Society too.
Yes,
Mwah.
yes. Let's not forget the Florida Rum Society, because we do have. Speaking of the Florida Rum Society, we do have another live stream coming up on. Hopefully, I get my little technical things worked out by Saturday. But this coming Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern time, we've got Mitch Wilson, the global ambassador for Black Tot Rum, will be on, and 10 a.m. So that'll be a live stream. And she will answer some questions. We'll do a live podcast. But I learned about them from the Florida Rum Society recent virtual tasting that they had sent some samples. And actually, I still have some left. So we got a nice, cool box here that had different offerings.
You lucky bastard.
Yep, that's right. That's me. And but yeah, so Mitch will be joining us here Saturday. So come check us out Saturday before all the football games start. Here on the East Coast, Saturday college football, and come hang out, ask some questions, learn a little bit more. There's a lot of history about what he's going to talk about that we just scratched the surface during the Florida Rum Society virtual tasting a couple of weeks ago. And again, you got some questions, come on and join us and hang out. So
you got to ask him about how rum, sodomy, and the lash worked in the British Navy. Black Tot had a lot to do with that.
Is this gonna? Am I gonna have to definitely check the podcast? This is not a for under 18 then.
I mean, we're drinking here, right? You can't be under 18 anyway.
Well, that's true. That's true. That's why I always have to check the box for this video is not for under 18.
Which is why I wasn't too scared about cursing.
Fuck no, right?
If your kids are watching, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, hey, I try to get my
you should know better.
I try to get my kids to help me with anything to do with this podcast, even assistant stuff. Man, they got no interest in it. I guess I have to pay them more. So, all right, Rob.
Well, you can't handle rum like my dad does, huh?
No, yeah, I don't have the model father son, rum relationship there like you guys do. Maybe that's where I went wrong. I didn't name one of my sons a junior, right? So maybe I should have named one of my sons.
Well, that's why I always put that V on my name, because I'm technically not a junior.
Oh, okay, there you go.
But I never tell the guys with funny accents that, because junior always sounds great coming from a British guy. It reminds me of Indiana Jones. Junior, we named the dog Indiana.
Speaking of that, that's a great tie, and I totally forgot about to talk about this week's podcast episode. I'm glad we got sidetracked, way crazy technical difficulties. But yes, the reference that you just made there about Indiana Jones was made in the third episode, right? Where they went to the temple and the Crusades and the Holy Grail, and that was actually in. They filmed that ending scene in Jordan. And if you listen to this week's podcast episode, it's not a very long one, but I just something that popped in my head, and is actually there's a reference to Jordan in this week's podcast episode, which we called "Wadi is up with this rum." So check out this episode. You'll learn something different that you might not have thought it was, and you'll find out the reference there that I was just talking about with Indiana Jones. So hopefully you get a chance to check it out. So, but anyway, again, I think that was it. Thank you, Rob. There. So
Thank you, sir.
we're gonna finish this
I'll
last
see you
little.
at the Rum Fest.
We're gonna finish this cheers off here in my Miami Rum Renaissance tasting cup there. So cheers. See y'all soon.